Okay, hello viewers, and welcome back to Milestone One. Um, if you might notice, I did say that my headset broke, so I got a new one. So I'm actually testing out the microphone instead of using um my my webcam mic, and I tried it without recording, and it sounded alright, like way better than my other headset mic. So for like this video and maybe another video, I'll probably be I'll just test how it sounds, and if I like it better than the webcam mic, um, I'll stick with it. Or if anybody like prefers the webcam mic over this mic, you can just leave a comment, and I'll switch it either. It really doesn't matter to me. It's not much trouble either way. But okay, let's just get back into this. Last time we we did Sid's past a bit, and we're just doing a continuation of it, but it explained how his company formed and troubles with the opposing company and stuff, and how he partnered up with the church, which helped expansion and stuff. Just get him back in the game while the other company was conspiring with the government. Also, this sounds really loud. I don't know if it sounds loud for you guys. Maybe it's because of the new headset. I'm gonna slightly turn it down a bit. Does this even have volume control? Oh, it does. Okay, maybe I'll leave it at 50 and just turn it down on my headset. Does that even make sense? I don't know. Let's just leave it like this. So yeah, let's just get right into this. Move my keyboard up. And you shouldn't be able to hear the clicks as much because of the headset. It's less sensitive. A few years had passed since Sid spoke with the priest. The number of high-vis victims continued to multiply drastically. Then one day, someone from within the church came across evidence exposing the collusion between the government, high-vis, and the Board of Science. So Sid was right. That was the clincher. A fissure formed in the long-standing relationship of the church and the government, leading to an agreement between Sevitz and the church. The energy industry versus the government versus the church. The level of discord among the three parties was truly unprecedented. In the midst of all that, Rudo was immersed in his studies daily, both in the academy and at home, in preparation for becoming Sevitz Enterprises' next president. Just like his father, he also had a strong interest in mana, and didn't have any difficulties studying. Rudo simply loved to learn. I remember him often telling Aline that he was bored by the lessons at the academy. However, Rudo, intelligent as he is, had one big concern: his little sister, Rune. At the time, Rune had behavioral issues. She always had a frown on her face, and the only time she ever smiled was when people got hurt. Everything she did had some trace of malintence or malcontents. I guess that's the combination of the two words to it. Whatever her actions were, they were always to cause people problems. One day, Rune finally did something that put the final nail on the coffin. Rune stabbed the G family's son's eye with a stick, causing him to lose it. The whole incident with the G's, what a mess. No kidding. Oh, you know what I did check in a while? The encyclopedia. I know I made it a habit to check it like every episode, but I haven't checked it in a couple of weeks. So it's like nothing ever gets changed. Oh, there is some new stuff. I don't know if this is new. No, that's not it. No, that's not new either. MRI is definitely new. Yeah, okay, this is the only new one we have. Matter Resonance Imaging, or MRI. I don't know what it stands for in English, but it's basically a brain scan. MRI is a technology developed by Zavitz Enterprises, allowing one to scan a living organism in a purified manner, rendering the information in image form. It's one of the many revolutionary technologies that have been brought about by medical reforms in the outer pole. Okay, there we go. It's a little different from a brain scan, yes. So they were talking about Rune's brain during that scene, so I don't know. I wonder, what caused Rune to do that? Was she not satisfied or something? I don't know. Helene, she's just heartbroken. On the outside, she puts a smile on and says she's fine, but she's starving herself, and her body is just... It's terrible. And I feel sorry for Rudo as well. I hope he isn't getting shamed or mistreated at school. This might be a good opportunity for him. Maybe it's about time. Age-wise, too. Sounds about right. He's lost in his thoughts, huh? After the G incident, Rudo had stopped attending school. The reason was never said out loud, but it was obvious. Rudo was just around 10 years old when he began to work as a trainee in 7th. He studied daily in Lab 9, said to be the very best in the industry for producing top researchers, and started becoming more and more introverted. Now that I think about it, it must have been tough for him. As a child, Rudo was somewhat lacking in imagination. To be blunt, he wasn't fit to be a researcher. Both I and the other members of the lab thought so. Rudo truly had a talent for learning. However, he had difficulties coming up with anything new that was outside of what was taught to him. They were expecting him to have an eccentric imagination, just as Sid did when he was young, but unfortunately it was all for naught. On the other hand, he was very careful not to offend people with his words or actions, and was very considerate of others. As time passed, everyone around him slowly came to see him as someone who couldn't succeed, Sid. A few years after Rudo began working in Lab 9, Rune's house arrest, the consequence of the G incident, was lifted. Rune was often brought by her home tutor to visit the lab. As time passed, it became clear. Though Rudo was said to be a prodigy in his aptitude for learning, Rune greatly exceeded his capabilities. Just a few months after Rune started to take trips into Lab 9, she was able to answer the unsolved battery problems that had been plaguing the sisters' machines for years. Everyone was speechless. Okay, so Rune's super smart. We didn't know that. It was then that I saw a glimpse of Sid's inventiveness and creativity. No, she trivially solved a problem that Sid himself couldn't. Probably everyone in the lab thought that she would surpass Sid as a researcher someday. Rudo began to slowly lose confidence in himself. Even after things calmed down from the G's incident, and he began to get along with Rune, Rudo was lost and didn't know what to do. It was written all over his face. Eventually, Rudo only did administrative work in the lab. It seemed to have dawned on him that he couldn't compete with Rune. And even then, Rune joined in the administrative work just as an assistant and took his job away from him. Sometimes it looked as if Rune was deliberately driving Rudo up the wall psychologically. That probably is part of it. There was a slight air of hostility to it. No, hostility isn't the right word. There didn't seem to be any motive to it. From an outsider's perspective, it was just a little sister helping out her older brother, nothing more. Whether it was intentional or not, a normal person wouldn't have noticed. One day, Sid and Aline came to me for advice. Look, I'm not against sending her off to school, but I just don't see the point. I've heard you already, Sid. I want to hear what Elvis has to say about the matter. Hey Elvis, what do you think? Could I have your honest opinion? Should Rune go to school, or... I don't see any problems with it. 6 whole years have passed since the incident with the G-boy. That's not the point. She's been studying at Lab 9 all this time. What do you expect her to pick up at school? I think it's a waste of time. I'm not referring to her studies. We need to reintroduce her to society. She doesn't even have anyone her age that she can call a friend. We need to at least try to let her live a normal life. And just who exactly determines what's normal and what isn't? I agree with Elvis. Rather than holding her up in that dimly lit laboratory, I'd rather she live and behave more like a young lady that she is. Pretty surprising to hear from you, Elaine, considering how insistent you are about her education. Well, of course she still has to maintain her studies. However, I think we're pushing Rune far too hard in that direction. She may look perfectly comfortable with how she is now, but I think she needs time to interact with other children her age as well. You really don't share that opinion, Sid? If you're asking me for my personal opinion, I don't think people's train. Does that show up? Okay, so trains don't show up on this new mic. I guess that's some pretty big bonus, huh? I don't have to wait for trains since you can't hear it. If you're asking me for my personal opinion, I don't think people's skills are all they're cracked up to be. If she keeps at it at work, then she's gonna end up picking them up whether she likes it or not. I swear, why is this man just so... Sid, you should really think about your abilities a little more. Your standards are well and far removed from what is considered as normal. Well, all that aside, my final decision is to let Rune choose what she wants to do. I don't plan to rob her of her ability to choose. She does the right to. Haha, I knew it. Do you agree with him then, Albus? I do. Considering Rune's age, it really should be the both of you making the final decision. What? But I certainly agree with respecting her opinion as well. Okay. I mean, I don't know. That's a normal day. If you ask like a 9-year-old, do you want to go to school or study with your dad? I think they're not gonna choose school like most of the time. Well, I'll go have Rune undergo a physical examination. I'll let the hospital know too. Thank you, Elvis. Really. I hope Rune appreciates the sentiment. That's when they got the MRI. It was a few weeks after that. Just before Rune was to be enrolled in the academy, she had a physical exam done in the lab. Using the MRI device that Sid developed, I examined Rune's brain. What the? Is this machine malfunctioning? New guy? Wow, new sprite. You haven't even met him, right? Unless he was one of the chairmen, but they never said his name. No, that's impossible. We just conducted maintenance on it yesterday. It's calibrated just right too. It can't be a problem with the machine. Oh, a bunch of new people. Oh yeah, didn't they say there was like three? It was like 3, 4, or 5 people on the lab team, right? I remember that from a while ago. It's Albus. These are rune scans, right? Is this even possible? This means she can't feel any emotion. That's absurd. A human like this couldn't exist. D- don't tell anyone about this, Nidge Volthal. Volthal. Elaine's in an especially sensitive time right now. When the timing is right, I'll make sure to tell Sid. The portion of Rune's brain which controlled human emotions was non-functional. What exactly this meant, none of the members of the lab, nor I knew at the time. While concealing Rune's name, we asked other staff in the medical, but not a single person even knew of the condition. But it was obvious that something was wrong. MRI itself was still a new, young technology. However, the very first person to respond to this was Rudo. Rudo clearly knew something that we didn't. It was a few months after Rune was admitted into the academy when he revealed it to us. Hmm? What's this book? Lie Spotting. It's a book about the psychological nature of lies and how to detect them. Oh, Albus. Good evening. Good evening, Runo. I have to talk with you. What's the matter? Runo's story came out of nowhere. Runa's killing small animals at the park nearby. Honestly, it sounded so absurd that I couldn't believe what he told us. Ever since the G incident, Runa had grown up to be a good girl. Deep in my heart, I harbored a small doubt. What if Runa was using that brain scan as a pretense so he could get revenge on Rune? He had more than enough reason and motive to do so. Against the gentle Rune, Runa must have felt desperate given their positions. I don't expect you to believe it, though. How do I even react? Have you told Sid and Elaine? No, well, not directly. I kind of played it off, saying that Rune might be up to something bad again. If I didn't, I'm sure Mom would get hurt again. I see. Yes, the only other person I can talk about this is you, Albus. Sorry, Rudo, but I think the only thing you can do for now is keep an eye on this situation. If I can do anything to help, I'd be more than happy to. But right now, even if everything you've told me is true, it's still not enough justification to take action right now. If I brought up this topic saying that I heard everything from you, if they decide to ignore it, then that'll be the end of it. Also, I'm pretty sure children killing small animals is also like an early sign of psychopath disorder. I think. I don't know. I forgot where I heard that, but I heard that somewhere. You're right. By the way, what is this book for? Is this for taking measures against Rune? Yes. Rudo, do you think Rune is a chronic liar? I'm not sure. But Rune displays far too many tendencies that are described in that book. Such as? For example, people who lie habitually are very capricious by nature. They hate staying in a single place. Once they get bored with things, they head elsewhere. Now that you mention it, she did say that she wanted to see the outside world. It's not just that. They're always smiling, but it's only their mouth that's in a smile, while their eyes remain expressionless. Whenever you talk with them, they end up looking at you straight in the eye too much. There are a lot of people in and around the town who haven't accepted Rune. When I asked them why exactly, they told me they couldn't on a biological level. I think it's an instinctive repulsion to her behavior. It doesn't matter whether the person question the person in question is an adult or a child. When they have something that feels foreign to us, then they become the target of fear and alienation. I think Rune already knows that she's causing people to feel disgusted at her and is intentionally behaving that way. More than that, Runa, I'm sure I'm sure Rune is planning something. She's building up her knowledge so she can trick us. There's got to be something she had planned, something much worse than the G incident. Wait a minute, just a moment there, Rudo. Aren't you jumping to conclusions here? She's been such a good girl this whole time. Now, I'm not saying to completely ignore what you're saying. No, I'm not going to completely ignore what you're saying. But as an adult, I have the obligation to look at everything fairly and impartially. I'm sorry. I may have said too much. I wasn't exaggerating. Even now, I still remember that conversation, clear as day. I paid no attention to Bruno's warning. That was the greatest mistake I'd ever made in my entire life. A few weeks later, a few weeks after that, Aline collapsed. And several days after that, 12 of the top brass from Zavit's business partners all died from process 1 poisoning. Rune disappears from the mansion. Another few days after that, a transport ship arrives at the outer pole. Rune's body is found on board. A few weeks later, Aline breathes her last while in Seven's Medica. Those events constantly play themselves back in my mind over and over and over. From that point forward, Zevich began to collapse in on itself. Sid, having faced no greater calamity than this, was broken. Even though he had endured all the trials and difficulties of his past, Sid just completely broke down. He wouldn't even listen to me or Rudo. His work at the company went practically untouched. Instead, he holed himself up inside Lab 9 and barred anyone else entry. It was on one of these days. It was just as the sisters' project was approaching completion. In the end, the church refused to make use of the sisters, but the frames that were built were repurposed to work in the mana mines instead. During a meeting to discuss where the sisters were to be deployed, Sid suddenly showed up. Ooh, Rudo's all grown up now. What? You want to pay the sisters for their work? That's right, I want their service compensated. What brought this on? Why? We're just barely scraping by as is. Why should we pay machines of all things? Huh? Because that's an order. Anyone who objects is fired. End of story. Sir Sid, are you serious, sir? Well, you guys deal with that then. Wait a minute, Sid. This is an abuse of power. Just tell us why. We'll listen to you. Why the hell do I have to explain every single damn thing I have to say? Even if I took the time to explain it, you're all just a bunch of idiots who wouldn't understand, so I don't even bother. All you need to do is just follow what I say, like the servants you are. What is the matter with you, Sid? If all these pupils weren't here with you, Zephyrs might as well have never existed. Who's the one who holds the power? Me. I don't need to take any smack from people without any vision. What the hell? You just abandoned your job like that? Do you have any idea how deep in danger the company is right now? What did you say, boy? Open your damn eyes, you senile old man. Your job as CEO of this company is to reassure everyone working here. Did you forget that? What the hell happened to your sense of right and wrong? Your morals? Were you this weak that you can't even stick to them, now that your wife's gone? You sure spouted some pretty big words for someone who isn't even half a man, eh, Rudo? Get a grip, Dad. With how things are right now, I don't need damn sympathy from the likes of you, freaking kid. Y'all can pretend to run the company for all I care, but this is my company. I built it from the ground up, and I can race it to the ground if I damn well please. Gasp. Now you better follow my orders. And anyone who gets in the way of my research... Oh, what? Oh shit, he coughed up blood. And he's in a deep sweat. Sir. He's vomiting blood? Hey Sid, are you alright? Don't touch me. Prompting noises. Sir Sid. Damn it. That night, I was called by Rudo. Rudo. Just who exactly is Rudo Zevitz? Come again? This morning, when I looked at the mirror, I saw a man I didn't even know. That man didn't have a shred of sadness in him when his little sister passed away. In fact, I'm feeling nothing but relief. Rudo. My little sister should never have been born. She should have just hit her head against something and died when she was young. Now I'm finally free. Such were the man's sad, heartless thoughts. Now, Elvis, is there Widow Savage, the kind of young man that would harbor those thoughts? Was he a person with such a warped heart that he would accept the joys in his sister's death rather than mourn it. However, there's still something I owe my gratitude to. That thing for that devil in disguise taught me one thing, and one thing only, that people are always controlled by their emotions. In this era, what we need are logic and rationality. The only one who have the right to talk about emotions or sympathy are those who have thoroughly pursued logic and rationality. My father was unable to do that. Also, I just gotta say, this soundtrack right now is banging. He's a weed man trying to devote himself to some sort of excuse for philanthropy, but couldn't even follow through all the way. Bruno! There are far too many barriers in this world. Sid Zevitz has been taken over by madness. His time is over. From now on, I shall lead Zevitz. I have the power to. That day, the dam that had been holding Rudo back finally broke. His growth since then was incredible. That kind, warm Rudo was nowhere to be found. He had truly changed as a person. Although he was just mediocre in terms of research, his track record in management easily dwarfed Sid's. Rudo put forward an avant-garde plan to save Zevitz. In order to deal with the mass murder that Rune committed, he established a corporate system. By taking in outside investors as members of the company's board of directors, he succeeded in changing the company's image from a family business to a corporation. Oh, it's G-Boy. Rudo, why wasn't I prepared a seat here? Hmm? Well, now your seat certainly has been prepared, Mr. G. Because I demand for one, that's why. Wait, what? Did I read this right? Well, now your seat certainly has been. Why was. Okay, wait. Rudo, why wasn't I prepared a seat here? Well, now your seat certainly has been prepared, Mr. G. Because I demanded for one. Okay, I get it now. Sorry, my brain just couldn't process it for a bit. You. Don't tell me you've forgotten what your sister has done. Thanks to that girl, I lost my family and my life has been ruined. Your father seems to have understood the circumstances. But what about you? Don't tell me that just because you've taken his place, you consider the past all water under the bridge, do you? For the love of... The father has gone completely insane. The son is freely abuses his position, and the daughter is a damn burglar. Just what is wrong with your family, huh? I've been working in this company for 10 years. If you don't treat me accordingly, you better watch out, little punch. Gee, did you just... I see. If I don't treat you accordingly, I had better watch out, is it? I'm sure I'm going ahead of those shoulders. What did you just... You little kid, just try to see that again. Mr. G, do you understand the situation you are in? Huh? Right now, you are dancing on the stage, front and center. Listen, to this company, you are nothing but a persistent little stain on a glass window. Leaving you on or wiping you off, there's no real difference. However, the more it stands out, the more of an eyesore it becomes. Grrr. Don't worry, Mr. G. No need to flounder about like that. Having gotten remunerate, I don't know what that word is. Oh, it's like, that's not how you normally say it, though. What's it called? Repercussions? I don't know. You know, paying, basically paid him back for his son and wife. You can consider yourself a success in life. You can relax and let that fat belly of yours hang out as you enjoy your life to the fullest. Why, you son of a... If some talentless burden like you even thinks of trying something, have you swept out like the garbage that you are? Ugh. Why you... Why do you... Who do you think you are, you son of a bitch? Ooh. I don't have to take abuse from a little shit like you. Son of a bitch. Don't think I'm gonna take this line down. I'm gonna whittle you down to your goddamn bones. Mark my words. I mean, he was being pretty obedient during present time there's also with the oh wait no it went up. Those were smaller to larger ellipses. That's different. Rito, I can see that you're what you're getting at, but don't you think you went a little too far back there? Too far? What do you mean? About G. He's nothing to concern yourself over, Elvis. More importantly, now that we've become a publicly traded company, there are far bigger things to worry about beyond G. The problems are only about to start. Just as Rudo said, we had lost a great number of excellent employees. However, we also gained many talented young employees. With the passage of each year, Rudo continued to rescue Savage from the brink of closure. The company full of warmth that Sid and Aline had once protected now changed into an efficient system. Savage grew many times its size since Sid had first established it. It had even recovered to the point where it could trade blows with Hives. Rudo's system of corporations and stocks planted the idea of investing even among the common layman and created an interest in the business as a whole. Setting up, so he's the first one who kind of set up a stock system in the outer pole, I'm guessing. Or I guess not the first, but one of the. I guess let's just say they inspired the moderate or I don't know what to say, moderate low families to start investing. Thanks to that, Hivitz found it difficult to just get by on marketing alone. Since then, Hivitz and Zevitz have been competing primarily on the technological front. Sisters, subjects, medica, energy, pharmaceuticals, information technology. A new era of mana dawned on the outer pole. The people of the inner pole could no longer look down upon us. I believe we were able to build up an equally respectable level of technology. It was then an appointment. This song also, I really like this song too. We heard it before, for sure. What do you mean I need an appointment? Well, that is, it's company policy. Oh, come on, miss, don't be such a hard ass. I just need to talk with him for a couple of minutes. Well, hurts. Yo, Albus, perfect timing. Marla, can you forget about him? I'll deal with this. Yes, sir. Jeez, what the heck happened? Everything's gotten all by the book here now. The direction of the company's changed and all. Time's changing. Change, eh? I hate it, I tell you. Everyone's trying to be a goody two-shoes now. What's the point of following the times over and over like that? Hurts one, you never change, do you? But really, why didn't you just call her your name? If you just said the name, G, she would have easily patched you through your uncle. Stop it, man. Just thinking about how me and that guy are actually related is depressing. Duly noted. Has your dad still not reconciled with? Ha 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 ha, you mean with me or my uncle? Your uncle. Can't say. I suppose when one of them kicks the bucket, the other will probably show up to the funeral. My dad, he took Marcus in and cared for him like he was his own son. Whatever happened to their place is none of my business, but my uncle's let the money get to his head a little too much. He got filthy rich, but he didn't give us a cent to help raise the kid. Hurts. Well, that's all in the past now. As long as he doesn't show his mud around me, then I ain't gotta do anything. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. It really has been a while. Just hearing that laugh of yours puts me at ease. Wait, did it? That's because for someone like me, my laugh's my only selling point. And how are you doing lately, Albus? Looking more and more like an old fogey, I see. You would too if you had to deal with this much work. You guys should just stop playing businessmen and drop by the tavern once in a while. I'm sure Sid and Rudo's got a lot on their plates, but you need a breather once in a while too. That is true. By the way, what brings you here today? Oh yeah, that's right. See, Sid stopped putting in orders for clothes all of a sudden. He's always had me work on something at least once every half a year, but we haven't met for a whole year now. So I decided to just drop by and pay a visit. What's with the other years? Something happened? Hurts. Sid's not doing very well right now. He's been like that ever since Alina and Rin passed away. He's holed up in the lab, working on who knows what like a man possessed. Who knows what, so it's not work? Is he even in the right condition to do any work now? Sid just refuses to listen to anyone, and when he talks, he either gives some nonsense order or says something outrageous. Bruno's taking the reins and is leading Zealots now. Bruno is? That's amazing, that shy little kid's taking over? You might not even recognize who he is if you met him, Prince. Bruno's completely changed. Actually, ever since that incident with Rune, everything's changed. Sad so. Hey, let me meet with Sid. And you should just leave him alone for now. Aw, come on, it's fine. If he was busy with work, then I'd think twice, but if he's just twiddling his thumbs, then that's a different story. It's a lot more serious than that. Serious? Bah, that's just what you think. Hurts. That's just what you think, but you haven't seen what Sid's like now. And how do you think I'm gonna see if you won't let me? Hurts. Look here, Albus. In my whole entire life, Sid's the toughest son of a bitch I've ever met. He's always stuck to his guns, no matter what life threw at him. You're telling me he's broken down? That just means he's a little tune-up is all. Now slap some sense into him. Alright, but you better not regret this. Oh god, he really does look rough. Even has like little veins over his eyes. Is that you, Albus? The only people who have the mana signatures to open that door lock are you and Elaine. I told you not to come here, didn't I? Hey, Albus. Hey, Albus. Answer me. Hey, good old Hertzmont's here too. Sorry, Sid, I just had to talk to Albus into letting me drop in. Hertzmont? What do you want? What do I want? What don't I want, Sid? You've been my Riddler for over 15 years now. If you suddenly stop showing up, then of course I'm gonna worry. Which is why I'm paying you a visit. That's so. Albus, Hertzmont. Anything. Get out. I'm busy. Hey now, what's with the greeting? I'm telling you to get the hell out of here. I don't got time to waste on either of you. Oh shit, that's a lot of blood. Sid, don't touch him, Albus. What? We need to get him to a doctor. Sid, just how long have you been hacking your lungs up? Th- that ain't none of your damn business. I'm getting a doctor now. Don't you it? Don't you dare call a doctor, Albus. What? Why is bleeding profusely here? If you just leave him like that, then don't make me repeat myself. You call a doctor, and I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. Why? Speak up, Sid. When did these symptoms start showing up? Damn it, answer me. Uh, 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 Go. I can't even watch this. I see. You can't even speak straight. Look at me straight in the eye and nod or shake your head. You're damn sure you don't need a doctor. Uh, no. Uh, no. Piss off. Alright, if that's how you want it, Sid. Albus, we're taking off. But just shut up and get over here. Come on, we're leaving. Uh, Normal ellipse transition. Why didn't we call a doctor, Hertz? How could you just stay calm after seeing Sid like that? Oh, well, calm down. How could I possibly calm down? He looked like he was on the verge of dying. If you leave him, if you leave him be, then you don't get it, do you, Elvis? Get? What is there to get? You've been with him for too long. You can't see the big picture anymore. Relax. Once you've calmed down, you'll figure it out. What are you talking about? At this rate, he'll look. If you really care about Sid, then just need him. Then you just need to leave him be. Let him do what he wants. I, Albus, I'm only going to say this once, so listen up. The best thing you can do for Sid right now is to let the man die doing what his heart desires. Well, I've said my piece. Whether you decide to listen or not is all on you. That stubborn son of a bitch. But I can rest easy now. See you around, Sid. Entry number 9. Uh, just a little. Just, just a little longer. I'm almost, uh, uh, it's probably making Sara. It was a week later. I simply could not let Sid be and decided to head back into Lab 9. It was not Albus. Sir Albus, we have an emergency. What though? Nits, what's wrong? You look aghast. Sid, Sid activated Lab 9's emergency protocol. He what? All the backup mana lines have been cut. That's absurd. The emergency protocol fills the entire lab with colored mana. If a living human being was in there, don't you think Sid's trying to commit suicide? Father, get Rudo here now. Turkey, come with me. We need to find a way to stop the protocol. Yes, sir. Of all the interruptions, so how much time has passed since activation? Rudo, you hear the backup mana lines have all been severed. Is there any valuable equipment inside? Who cares? Sid is still in there. He is? So he is. Oh well. Let's get a doctor on standby, just in case. I swear, I'm already pressed for time as it is. I don't have the time to deal with funeral arrangements. How dare you? Why do you look so exasperated, Albus? Sid Zavitz died a long, long time ago. All that's left in there is the deranged hollow shell that's remained of him. Enough. Bruno. If he died doing whatever he wanted doing, then good for him. Enough! How dare you speak like that about your father? Is that how you address the person who gave you life? Sir Rudo, Albus, the door's opening. It seems like the cleansing's finished. I found Sid's body inside the lab. He died from acute mana shock due to the sudden influx of colored mana, just as Moon had. Sid! What were you trying to accomplish here? In the entire company, Lab 9 was packed with the most expensive equipment. Among the equipment there are some sensitive instruments that constantly had to have mana flowing through them, otherwise they would break down. Kiriki, lend me a hand. We need to restore the lines. We can't see a thing in this darkness. Understood. It was when Kiriki and Balto reconnected the backup mana lines, which stood at disconnected, that we discovered. What? Time froze. What lay beside Sid's corpse was. I don't believe it. What is this? Is that a new sister prototype? Oh, chapter 6. Well, I kind of want to finish this. Finish the flashback at least. No, 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 no. That's impossible. She's got to be human, right? Clearly. No, there's no mistaking it. There doesn't seem to be a pulse, and I can see the irises in the cameras. The irises in the cameras in its eyes. It moved! Alright, who activated it? We didn't even touch it. It just started moving on its own. Can you talk? Do you have a voice feature? He Hello world. Oh, there it is. Classic thing. It it seems to be the type that can speak. Do you have a name? Name? What is a name? Looks like there wasn't any basic information loaded in. A name is a term that serves as an identifier for oneself. My name is Valto. This guy is Turkey. He's Elvis, and that man over there is Rudo. Rudo? Oh, it seems to recognize Rudo's face. Rudo, brother? It must be some kind of mistake. You don't have any name, right? Name? Something that serves as my identifier. I cannot remember, but I remember being called by something a long time ago. Then from now on, you are Sara. Remember that. The project's file title, how arbitrary. Sara? Indeed, if you are asked by anyone, then you are to introduce yourself as Sara. That's an order. Understood. Is this going to be deployed at the church? The church? It's something that happened before you joined the company. Before, when both Sid and his wife were alive, they were in agreement with the Abbey. You would create sisters who looked like humans for the Abbey, and they would take care of the victims of Hivit's operations. But ultimately, we weren't able to create any sisters to the standards of quality that they demanded. They said that even though they looked human externally, they were lacking on the inside. Ugh, damn it, Dad. What were you even thinking? It was later discovered that Sid had falsified financial records without the accountants knowing. He had laundered vast sums of money to develop a new prototype sister. Okay, so I guess Rune's or Sarah's like one of a kind. That's good to know. I guess she's more advanced than the other ones. Did Sid not even a single memo in this? All the documents of the Manaware and software, the terminals and equipment, they've all been purged because of the emergency protocol. And his planner? Sid always carried a planner around with him, making sure to take notes on everything. About that, excuse me, it's been burned to a crisp. Burned? That's not all. Every single document Sid's kept here for the last 2-3 years were all burned. Seeing how all of his notes and documents have been destroyed so exactingly, he must have all intentionally gotten rid of it all. But then why would Sir Sid have kept working to create the sister prototype up until his death? I've already told you about this. He was frustrated with the greatest failure in Zevit's enterprise's history. When we partnered with the church, he promised the abbot that he would make a sister that would be no different than a human being. Yeah, that's probably not the reason he did it. But ultimately, he couldn't deliver on that. And further, he wanted to put a final nail in the coffin on that before he died. Sid must have wanted to finish his greatest failure in life, the Sisters Project. No, that couldn't be it. What makes you say that? If he wanted to create sisters for the church's use, then he wouldn't have truly met his goal if they could be mass. What am I saying? Then wouldn't he truly have met his goal if they could be produced en masse? But he intentionally burned all of his notes and documentation to prevent that. I told you, he wasn't thinking about mass production or even the company itself. He must have wanted to settle his personal comfort with himself. Otherwise, why would he have felt the need to stealing money from his own company? But still, what's the meaning in destroying all of these documents? There must have been some other driving force behind it. Gentlemen, you are sorely mistaken about the problem at hand. Whatever my father was thinking, there's no way for us to ever understand it. To question the motives of a madman, the mere act is an utter waste of time. Albert, we don't have time to waste on foolish things like this. The amount of money that Sid has illegally channeled into this project of his of his is enormous. I'm sure that there will be a meeting with the board of directors about whether or not this new sister prototype justified its cost. I must go to make preparations for that. Please return to your respective workstations, everyone. Yes, you're right. It's rather hard to swallow this right now, but I understand. I need to recompose my thoughts. What's the date of the meeting set? Please let me know. Rudolph, we need to talk. I hope this isn't more useless banter, Albus. Enough, Rudolph. Look at the model of the sister. Doesn't anyone come to mind? Look, it's clearly written right there. Right, and you thought I didn't notice it either? Then why didn't you say anything about that? Because it's a matter of trivial importance. So what if she looks like Rick? The minor details has no bearing on our current situation. Well, there's something I am now certain of, which is, Sid Zavitz was truly ill. While still bitter about the loss of his daughter, he was infatuated with pretending that he could bring her back to life. How disgraceful. Sid Zavitz, the renowned scientist of the era, certainly has fallen fire. Well now, it goes without saying that the issue is at hand. The issue is at hand is the numbers, or finances. I believe it's best we not discuss this with anyone else. I don't want to cause any additional causes for concern for the board of directors. On that, and only that point, do I agree with you. I sincerely hope that this thing has enough value to warrant its construction. Albus, please start preparing for the meeting as well. I'm against this. Look at it. Look at Steve's mannerisms. Tell me, have you ever encountered a machine that could possibly respond this naturally, this humanly? Regardless of Sid's psychological instability, his sister is still a genius, the work which he put his entire life into. Until we can understand the origins behind its construction, I believe we need to continue observing it. It's almost disgusting. The way it looked so realistic, as if it really were a human. And what's with that expression on your face? Is it some kind of function to upset people on purpose? No, I apologize. It's as if it has emotions as well. This has to have been a sister for the church's use. For it to have emotions recreated as well, it has to be a model of a sister created for its original purpose, no doubt about it. Impossible. We need to scrap this and remove it as soon as possible. Despite that small spleen, it possesses the strength of 10 men. If it decides to appeal against us, then who knows what could happen. Refusing to listen to other people's opinions, as always, I see. Always screaming, no, no, and you still call yourself an adult? I was asked for my opinion, and I gave it. But I believe the same goes for you, regardless of how you choose to view it. To be honest, this scares me. I cannot agree with letting a machine who does not process things we don't even understand lose anywhere near us. I don't think those fears are really justified. Sara can speak perfectly, and is able to understand what we are saying. You only have to approach it to understand that it is not something dangerous. Besides, Sid couldn't have built something intended to be harmful to others. Considering Sid's mental state at the time, I find that decision rather hard to believe. All this aside, everyone, please, have you all forgotten about the money that was poured into making this thing in the first place? Was it created to serve as some kind of trophy to put into a goldfish bowl of some sorts? If that was created as a mere pet project, then I refuse to stand for this. We need to do something right now to mitigate our losses. But if we don't have any time to observe her, then I think we'll need to take a vote on this matter. By majority vote, it was decided to observe Sara. In a few weeks since then, Sara slowly formed memories and a personality began to emerge. At first, she spoke very curtly and did only what she was told. As time went on, she slowly became more and more human-like, to the point that other people wouldn't even notice that she was a machine. Although there are many skeptics among the board of directors, they all eventually accepted the fact that Sara was something special. Soon after, she was placed in a field test to work in a man of mine temporarily under my supervision. New background. Look how rough the sketches of those background people look. They kind of look out of place, not gonna lie. Wow, there's so many first generation models of the sisters here, Albus. Okay, so that's the sisters. They all look like that at us. About 90% of those working here in the mines are sisters that we built, in fact. Good morning, everyone. Pleased to make your acquaintance. All the sisters here don't speak. They're all purpose-built miners, so they don't have any excess functions. I see. It's going to be a little lonely. Do you really think that? Excuse me? Does that really make you feel lonely? Well, I wonder, why did I think it would be lonely? I'm not sure if feel is the right word either, but the first thing that came into my mind was that it would be lonely. Sara worked diligently at its job. However, when compared to the sisters designed specifically for the work in the mines, its results were nothing spectacular. Ultimately, it was determined that Sara was not designed for mining work. At the very least, we determined that Sara had no particular abilities, apart from being incredible likeness to humans. Oh man, this is gonna be an hour video. Whatever. It's been a while since we did a really long video. It seems that memories are constantly growing day by day. I have absolutely no idea just how it's built. But shall we dismantle it and find out? If you wish to know what makes it tick, then that's the fastest way to do so. I can't do that. If you dismantle it, then we'd be unable to reassemble it. That's the consensus of all the members of Lab 9's. That is the consensus of all the members of Lab 9's members. I don't know, some of the sentences in this episode seems to be poorly translated. It's definitely a pattern to spell that. The board of directors wouldn't ever let us dismantle it, given our current level of technology. Excuse me? What is it? I don't think my name is Sara. What? I don't quite remember very well, but I think a long time ago, Rune used to be my name. Gasp. Do you mean, and you're Rudo, my Sara, between your imperfect, faulty memory, or what we say, which do you think is more credible? Everything in those so-called memories of yours, it's all a veil, a lie, a sham. All of that was implanted by your creator, Sid Zealots, as some kind of sin joke. Don't ever utter the name Rune again. That's an order. Understood. Ever since Sara's confession, Rudo's attitude towards her completely changed. Why does Sara have these memories inside of her? Did Sid actually intend to bring Rune back to life like this? Calling herself Rune, behaving like Rune. Something as simple as that was the child's play for Sid. But that isn't Rune. That would have been nothing but a fake created copy of Rune. Just what was Sid thinking? There's no merit to this. That's not true at all. Sid's original plan for these sisters was to introduce them to the church and let them take care of the patients. As proof of that, I brought Sara to the abbot the other day. No one sure the entire time we were there did he realize that Sara was a machine. Despite all that, they still gave us their disapproval. Honestly, it's just disgusting. There isn't a man alive who'd ever feel comfortable around that bucket of bolts. I can't even tell when it's around or not just because it doesn't look alive. And just look at that face, who knows what's going on in its head. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Even if as a member of Lab 9, also passionately assert that Sara has the mechanisms to mimic emotion, what merit is there to being able to reproduce that function? I'd love to hear some concrete, useful application of this. Well, bad news that the church has denied the proposal. This means that there will be another hurdle to jump when it comes to using them in Seven's Metatron. If we continue to shove this model of model of sister down their throats, then we would be sowing unnecessary discord between us and the people whom we've worked so hard to be partnered with. We will not use it in Metatron, nor will we use it in the church. In other words, there's no merit to mass producing this. Rudo, why are you so stubborn about this? I wouldn't have expected that opinion from you. She may be the one and only automation built in this entire world that's been built with this so-called emotional mechanism. If Sid was able to create something like that, then who knows what other man-powered inventions lay ahead. Just what is a person? What is the conscious? What are emotions? This may lead to a huge discoveries about the very philosophies of humans themselves. Certainly mass production may be out of the question, but does that mean we can just disregard her entirely? I too refuse to change my opinions on this. At the very least, I believe that it's far too early to scrap her. And here we are, back to square one. Elvis, what do you think of all this? I think that's far too early to dismantle her as well. While the systems running inside are certainly piquing my interest, I can't even begin to understand what Sid's intentions were. I'm slowly beginning to think that Sid wasn't entirely mad when he created Sara. Not quite the answer I was expecting, but that means you're also opposed to her dismantling, yes? Very well, we shall continue to observe it. See you all tomorrow. Excuse me, Elvis. Sara, what are you doing out this hour? Have you completed your task for the day? Just a short while ago, actually. I see, which means you're off the clock now. May I have a moment to speak with you? Why the formality all of a sudden? Well, just what am I? That's quite the frank question. Am I on the inside at least? Really? Don't worry, Rudo won't know a word of this. Speak your mind. Well, I was created just 2 years ago, right? You were. It's strange. Inside me, what seems to be childhood memories? They stretch back all the way to years and years ago, but I just created only recently, so that can't be true. Elvis, just what am I? Am I a machine that was born to be a tool? If that's the case, then why was I born with these memories? I have no idea. And just for what those memories are inside of you, the only person who can answer that question is no longer on this world. That's Sid, right? Correct. Was Sid Savage an integral part of your life, Elvis? Yes, he was my best friend. We were practically like brothers ever since we were children. Does Rudo take issues with the fact that I have these memories? Well, they certainly don't put him in a good mood, that's for sure. Sara, let me just give you one word of advice, okay? Okay? Do not ever cause any trouble. I'll be frank with you. Rudo has been wanting to dispose of you under the guise of dismantlement. He will find even the slightest excuse to do so, regardless of how minor or trivial the reason is. Is that because of these memories inside of me? That's right. Look, Sara, I want you to listen carefully, okay? If and only if you're about to do something wrong, consider that you are betting your entire being on the line. Do it with the resolve that will be the end of everything. My entire being? That's right, you seem to have an ego, a proper sense of self-identity. There will become a time for you to assert that sense of self. I'm sure of it. Myself? But am I not the property of Seven's Enterprise? If that's the case, then I shouldn't have the right to bet myself, do I? If only you weren't just a machine. This is important. You'll come to understand someday or another. Another year passed. Lab 9 was able to produce 3 new prototypes using Sara as their model. However, not a single one operated as well. There was clearly something fundamentally different about how Sid had created Sara. Far too much time has passed with us not knowing what it really was. The board of directors had been split between those who wanted to observe and those who wanted to dismantle Sara. Some members switched from observe to dismantle. This was about a month ago. With that, Sara's dismantlement seemed all the more a reality. As the days went on, Sara's intellect grew rapidly. Using her own methods to measure and improve efficiency both in the mines and the routine work in residential areas, she began to finish her tasks ahead of everyone else. That kind of work ethic and behavior was just like runes. Exactly like runes. From there, more and more people began to develop a distrust for Sarah's very existence. I think it was because she was too different. There was something about her existence that just triggered something in you instinctually, just like Rune did. A great deal of people began to considering her as a threat subconsciously. The ones who created, the ones who'd been most affected by this was none other than Rudo himself. Rudo, is it true? Did you erase Sarah's memories? It seems like that access to Sarah's brain is protected by several levels of security. Although Nietzsche and Kirky managed to find a way to bypass the first level. I'm not asking you to explain how. I'm asking you why you erased your memories. All of the experiences, the information, the knowledge she's accumulated. Albus, you should have realized this by now. It seems like Sid succeeded in recreating Rune's memories played faithfully in Sarah. How he managed to do so, I have no idea. The way she moves and acts, they're all very reminiscent of Rune's own behavior. And what does that have to do with why you erased her? What does that have to do with it, you ask? Plenty. If by some chance even some small portion of Rune's own personality exists within Sarah, then there could be no greater threat. I'm sure you're fully aware of how dangerous Rune was. But I'd like to hear an explanation for all this. Do enlighten me on why things have turned out this way. I'm sorry, sir. I honestly have no clue. Theoretically, all of our methods should be working. Do you know what your name is? Yes. My name is Sam. It was given to me by you, Rudo. Looks like it's not working. That's strange. We're doing the erasure procedures by the board. There shouldn't be anything wrong with it. Sir Rudo, this is just a demo, but we probably need the highest level of access privilege in order to erase the memories inside Sir's core. We can't do anything with only our mana signature. What about purging its internal mana altogether? If he did that, it would likely cease to function. That's not just a likelihood, it will completely, utterly shut down. It'll be as good as scrap. Dismantling it would be the least of our concerns. Sir said, I'm honestly not sure why all these complex safeguards were put in place. It's almost as if he's making sure that no one could ever tamper with it. Indeed. Damn. What should I... If your memories haven't been erased, you ought to know already. Go back to work. Leave. Sarah, what's wrong at this time of night? Albus, you said that Sid was your best friend, an integral part of your life, right? What brought this on all of a sudden? Friends are important, right? Well, of course they are. There isn't anyone more important in your life than your family and friends. Thank you. Sarah, why? Of all times for you to cause trouble, why at this critical point? You knew that there was going to be a votation regarding you 4 days from now. I remembered. I remembered the advice you gave me a long time ago. Advice? Good grief, what is it this time? I swear, another emergency summons. Huh? Oh, Sarah, what do you even know how to... What, don't you even know how to greet someone? Good afternoon, Mr. G. This really is nothing but a defective piece of junk. I heard you even stole sediment at the mines earlier. What an absolute waste. We really should have just dismantled you as soon as possible. I apologize. Dismantling that matter is exactly why we have gathered here today. Please reserve your arguments for until the other members have come. And just how many do you even expect to come? You academics in your ivory tower may not know, but the other members of the board of directors are already speaking as if dismantlement has been assured. You have to be grateful that I even bothered to come to go to the effort of attending this meeting to confirm all this. Okay, that's closing time. Um, I don't know. There's like some small message on OBS. Hopefully, it didn't mess up anything. Cause that'd be like an hour and 10 minutes to waste. But that's fun. That's interesting. Um, my voice is probably going out. It was going out by the end of that, but yeah. So we finally got the whole story with Wynn's backstory. It's very interesting. I'll probably discuss it more when for the next episode, just because, like I said, my voice is running out. But I do hope you enjoyed this long episode, and yeah, tell me how the mic sounds if this episode goes up. Thanks, and have a nice day. Bye.